Welcome to the Aaron Harber Show. My guest today is is a person who many believe was the best woman ever on a snowboard, Gretchen Bleiler. Gretchen, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Olympian, X Games champion, ESPY winner. I mean, is there anything you haven't done?
I've been having a lot of fun in my career, that's for sure.
All right, well, tell me a couple of the high points for you.
Well, for me, really my inspiration behind becoming a pro snowboarder actually stemmed from, at a very early age, I wanted to be an Olympian.
Earlier than 12 years old?
It was a very early age. I would say it was around 4 years old.
Oh my gosh.
I sat in front of a TV with my family and watched the Winter Olympics for the first time and was so inspired by the athletes and that idea that regardless if they won or lost, that they had lived every single day up to that point with passion and determination and inspiration. And I wanted to live my life like that too. So I decided I wanted to become an Olympian. So when I actually went to the Olympics for the first time in 2006, and I ended up going along and winning a silver medal as well, that was definitely a high point.
So you didn't start training two-a-days at the age of 4 or anything like that, did you?
No, but sort of the cool part about this dream and this goal is I had no idea how I was going to become an Olympian, and I didn't really care either. I just wanted to become one. So I was born into a very active family. I have 3 brothers, 2 are older, 1 is younger. And so I played every single sport that I had the opportunity to play because, you know, who knew I was maybe going to become an Olympian in that sport. So I was on the swim team and the diving team, and I played soccer and softball, and I literally ran, kicked, dove, swam as fast as I could and as best as I could every single day that I could.
So when did you take up snowboarding? How old were you?
My family moved to Aspen, Colorado when I was 10 years old. And a year later is when I started snowboarding. And ironically, snowboarding at that point was the farthest thing from being an Olympic sport. It actually wasn't even allowed on most mountain resorts at that time. But what I loved about it is it was new, it was fresh, it was a culture of people who were sort of making the rules up as we went along. And I loved that. And so I started to do it. And in 1998, it was inducted into the Winter Olympics, and that's when I knew for the first time that I wanted to go to the Olympics for snowboarding.
Your timing was really good.
Yeah, it was, it was. But then I actually had to go through, you know, the next step was, okay, I knew that I wanted to go for snowboarding, but then actually having the courage to do it. That was a whole other story.
What was your training regimen like?
You know, it started off as just being up on the mountain every single day and always having goals and always working towards them. And, you know, a lot of people tell me like, oh, you must not have fear. That must not even be a part of your vocabulary. But I actually believed in my career that it was my job to scare myself every single day and kind of walk that line of pushing myself so I was outside of my comfort zone, but not so much that I was always hurt. And it's a fine line that you have to walk.
Any people, were there any people who were particularly inspirational to you in the sport?
Of course. You know, as I was first coming into competitive snowboarding, there were the women pioneers who came before me. Trisha Burns, who, you know, now has become one of my best friends. Michelle Taggart, Shannon Dunn, you know, these are women that really blazed the trail for me to be able to come along and have the career that I had.
All right, and now you're retired. Tell me about the retirement decision, because, you know, for a lot of athletes, especially, you know, those who are at the top of a particular sport, retirement seems to be difficult.
Yeah.
And making the decision. And so you see a lot of athletes who keep participating in a sport when they really know objectively their time has come and gone.
Exactly. So that's actually something I talked about in my presentation, the flow state presentation, is this idea of it's so important to identify a curiosity, a passion, or a purpose, and then have the courage to act on it. But just as important is being able to identify when that has evolved and it's time to move on, and the courage to actually move on. And so for me, I announced my retirement at the Winter X Games, January of 2014. And it was quite a shock because I was still one of the top 5 best women in the world at the time. But in reality, I just knew that my heart wasn't in it anymore, and that my purpose in competitive snowboarding was complete. And as scary as it was to announce that retirement, I knew that it was what I needed to do to keep growing and to keep evolving and to keep really having the courage to act upon new curiosities that were popping up.
So what do you want to do now? And what are you doing now?
Well, so a big part of my career has been around talking about climate change. After I won the silver medal in the Winter Olympics in 2006, I realized I had a platform to not just to talk about my snowboarding, and quite frankly at that time I was getting sick of talking about it anyway, but use it as a platform to talk about something bigger. And for me, being a pro snowboarder and chasing the snow around the world year-round, climate change was something that was affecting my life, was affecting my community, was affecting a lifestyle that I loved and gave me a sense of adventure and meaning and purpose, and also is a huge issue facing humanity in general. So I decided to use my platform to raise awareness and influence change, just in talking about the things that I was seeing. But at that same time, my husband and I saw a huge problem in the sustainable marketplace. And that problem was that we have these reusable water bottles, and although they're great because they get people off of plastic disposable water bottles, they're impossible to clean. And so we created a company around that concept, and the company's called Alex Bottle. It stands for Always Live Extraordinarily, and it's a stainless steel reusable water bottle that you can actually open it up in the middle so you can clean it out. And the whole point of this company is to show people that living a conscious and a sustainable lifestyle, it doesn't have to be a sacrifice. It can be beautiful because the bottle's beautiful. It can be inspirational, like the name, and it can be very design-driven and innovative. I also, ironically, in this very same year, this was 2009, because of the success I was having in my career, I had a ton of opportunities outside of just being a snowboarder and being on the mountain. So I was working with sponsors on creating products, and I was doing photo shoots, and I was doing commentating, and interestingly enough, I was being pulled in a million different directions and felt like I was not accessing that full potential and that flow state that I always had in my career. And because of that, I was led into meditation. And since then have actually become a certified instructor in primordial sound meditation. So the idea is that from the silver medal came a lot of other curiosities. And from that also realizing that it was time to keep moving on and keep exploring those interests.
All right, great. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with Gretchen Bleiler.
So I left that experience feeling completely different. It was as if nothing had changed, but everything had changed at the exact same time. I was seeing things differently. I was hearing things differently.
For information on how to help promote civil and mutually respectful discourse and support expansion of the distribution of our programs, please email info@harbertv.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. For information about the program, who our upcoming guests and topics are, and ways you can participate, please go to our website. That's harbertv.com. And most of all, thanks for watching.
I'm Mary Robinson, former President of Ireland.
Hi, I'm Jim Cameron, Director of Avatar.
I'm Christina Johnson, former Undersecretary of Energy.
Hi, I'm Oliver Stone.
Hi, I'm Mike Peters. I'm the creator of Mother Goose and Grimm.
Watch The Aaron Harber Show.
I would encourage you to watch the Aaron Harber Show. It's good fun.
Watch the Aaron Harber Show because he's a really cool guy.
Please watch the Aaron Harber Show, on which I do appear.
I want you to watch the Aaron Harber Show. Grimmy watches it every day.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. You can follow the show on Twitter and find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates, see behind-the-scenes photos, and make comments and ask me questions. You can see episodes before their TV broadcast, so like the show today.
Your opinions, ideas, suggestions, and criticisms related to guests, topics, questions, or the host are welcome. Please send an email to producer@harbortv.com.
Welcome back to the show. We're with extraordinary snowboarder Gretchen Bleiler. You must still snowboard.
Of course.
Yeah.
I've actually taken my skills, so instead of competing now in the half pipe in front of big crowds, I've been going into the backcountry and climbing up mountains and snowboarding down with friends.
So you're just having fun.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Are there any men or women who have post-athletic careers that you've paid attention to, you've been inspired by, or you've learned something from?
You know, it's a really interesting question.
Do you miss it, by the way, the competition?
Of course. So I've only been
It's not been that
retired
long, yeah.
from competition.
You look young to be retired.
I know, it's
by
a
the way.
terrible term, I think, retired. I like to say transitioned. So
At
I've
Guide
only
Dogs
been
for the Blind, they call it career change.
career change.
Yeah, I like
okay,
that
so
phrase.
I like that one too. We'll go with that one. So it's only been like a full season.
Yeah.
And so I experienced this winter being here and being involved in the snowboard community as the X Games came to Aspen, and not competing. And it was tough because I went through all of the emotions of,
I can do better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can do better than that, to I'm so glad I'm not doing that anymore, to oh, I miss it, to I'm really happy where I am right now, kind of the full gamut of emotions. But ultimately, yeah, I'm really happy with my choice.
And you talked about being certified in meditation. What has meditation done for you?
You know, like I said earlier, I got to a point in my career where I really felt like I was being spread in a million different directions. And really what that came from is when I was a senior in high school and I made the choice to go after my dream of becoming a pro snowboarder and an Olympian, I told myself that I didn't want to just be a snowboarder. I wanted to take advantage of every single opportunity that I got in order to take advantage of the small window of being an athlete. And so I really wanted it to become an education as well. And so when I won the silver medal, I got lots of opportunities and I said yes to everything. The problem with that is I sort of became disconnected from what I was wanting. My mission was say yes to everything. And that can be tiring and that can be overwhelming. And so for the first time in my life, I felt like I was not in this flow state. And I felt disconnected and detached. And it was meditation that sort of helped me get myself back into the picture. And really it was just taking time for myself every single day. And it's amazing what happens when you take the time for yourself every single day. And just asking yourself questions too, like what do I want out of my life? How do I want to live my life? And asking those questions and then taking the time to sit in stillness and silence, it's amazing how activated you can become again. And when you're activated, you can listen to that inner voice and live life on purpose.
I avoid those questions. They're way too scary for me. It seems some people take to meditation, others work at it and are successful, and it's very beneficial. Mm-hmm. And yet others, it's very difficult. What's your experience in terms of working with other people? And is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I think that meditation needs it needs a PR job. I think meditation is such a scary concept to so many people. And I think because there's a huge misconception around it. And it's that meditation is, levitating and having this, exotic experience where you have zero thoughts going through your mind. That's just completely unrealistic.
You don't have to go to India to learn how to meditate?
No, that's the best part. So my thought on all of this is that meditation is the process of sitting down and with a goal. And the goal is your mantra. And this is the type of meditation that I teach. It's a mantra-based technique. And so it's a sound that you focus your awareness on. And whenever you realize that your attention has drifted away from that mantra, when you have that awareness, you have a choice. You can continue thinking about all of the other things you were thinking about or go back to your mantra. And so it's a very simple process, and it's a dance between your mantra and your thoughts. Your brain was designed to think. It's going to think. And the more attention, awareness you put on your thoughts, the more you're going to think. So if you have something else to bring your awareness to, that kind of helps everything just fall away. So it's kind of a dance, and that's also exciting because in this process there's no expectations or judgments. You do it comfortably, and just taking the time to do it also helps you get realigned with who you are and how you want to live this life. It's really similar to how I was living my life as a pro snowboarder and Olympian. I had the goal of becoming an Olympian, and because of that, all of the distractions in life that come, those weren't as strong because I knew where I was going. Same in meditation.
I would be scared to death to do that. I was telling you off camera, I have a Chinese medical practitioner that wants me to do a 10-day meditation seminar, and I'm thinking, I'm totally frightened by that concept. The 10 days of not thinking much.
So my reply to that is, if you're afraid of something, you got to look into that.
Oh, I'm afraid of a lot of things, so that's
just an opportunity.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
I say do it. See what happens.
I'm not making any promises.
See what happens.
You know, if it were a 3-hour seminar, I might go for that. But 10 days?
I know, it's a
What
lot.
was your first meditation experience?
Well, so I was introduced to meditation in 2009 from a coach that I was working with, a sports psychologist. And that's when I started meditating, but I was sort of an inconsistent meditator. In 2012, I went to my very first meditation retreat.
For how long?
It was with Deepak Chopra, and it's an event of his called Seduction of Spirit, and it's a 7-day retreat. And I left.
Still too long for me, but.
So I left that experience feeling completely different. It was as if nothing had changed, but everything had changed at the exact same time. I was seeing things differently. I was hearing things differently. I was just more finely in tune with everything that was going on around me. It was like my vision went from tunnel vision to wide open. And I also felt like I was doing everything I was doing before, but I was doing it with more meaning and more purpose, and I was doing it more efficiently and connected, so I felt more productive.
More intention.
Much more intention. And more joy. Who doesn't want more joy in their life?
All right, fair enough. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about the environment with Gretchen when we come back.
Again, it's that concept of you figured out how to tap into your own full potential, and how can you inspire it in other people? Because that's the point. If we can all walk around living lit up lives, imagine how different the world would be in every aspect.
For information on how to help promote civil and mutually respectful discourse and support expansion of the distribution of our programs, please email info@harbertv.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. For information about the program, who our upcoming guests and topics are, and ways you can participate, please go to our website. That's harbertv.com. And most of all, thanks for watching.
I'm Mary Robinson, former President of Ireland.
Hi, I'm Jim Cameron, Director of Avatar.
I'm Christina Johnson, former Undersecretary of Energy.
Hi, I'm Oliver Stone.
Hi, I'm Mike Peters. I'm the creator of Mother Goose and Grimm.
Watch The Aaron Harber Show.
I would encourage you to watch the Aaron Harber Show. It's good fun.
Watch the Aaron Harber Show because he's a really cool guy.
Please watch the Aaron Harber Show, on which I do appear.
I want you to watch the Aaron Harber Show. Grimmy watches it every day.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. You can follow the show on Twitter and find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates, see behind-the-scenes photos, and make comments and ask me questions. You can see episodes before their TV broadcast, so like the show today.
Your opinions, ideas, suggestions, and criticisms related to guests, topics, questions, or the host are welcome. Please send an email to producer@harbertv.com.
Welcome back to the show. We're with Gretchen Bleiler. Love that name, by the way. That's
Thank you.
Really great, really
Thank
great.
you.
Okay, so we were off camera talking about post-career, and you didn't really get a chance to answer that question, probably because I asked you another one. But talk about the concept and other athletes in the post-career, in that career change as opposed to retirement phase.
Right. Well, I think there are a lot of examples of athletes who have gone on to use that potential, but I think for the most part, there are a lot of athletes that don't. So I feel like athletes are a huge source of untapped potential. And it's because we go and we experience and we achieve these superhuman feats, and then everyone says, oh, how sad, you'll never do anything like that ever again. And what I would like to say is that at that point, you're actually sitting on $1 billion worth of energy, and now you've just begun. You've figured out how to experience yourself at that full potential. So now how do you apply it to every single aspect of your life?
But many people don't.
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of the professional athletes that I know really seem kind of stuck in the past.
Yeah. So that's kind of that story of what I was talking about, having the courage to realize that your passion or your purpose or your curiosity has evolved, and being willing to move forward and be open-minded again and be willing to learn and to grow again, but really to continue to act upon those original curiosities and passions in just other aspects of your life. So it's just the start, it's just the beginning. And so that's kind of what I've been talking about around this flow state concept, is how do you use that state of being in every aspect of your life? And it's really about creating challenges and, you know, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. And how do you do that?
All right, two questions. First, tell me a little bit more about the flow state concept.
Right. So I think flow state is such a buzzword these days. Everyone's sort of talking about it, and yet it also seems very abstract, and it's typically associated with athletes or artists or performers, and it's seemingly this state where someone is able to tap into this hyper focus and achieve these superhuman feats. But really, I would like to argue that it is the process, and I do believe it's a process, of accessing and tapping into our own human potential. And our own human potential is unique and different, because we all have different unique talents, gifts, and skills and aspirations. But our potential is also always evolving based on our willingness to discover it.
When you consider many of the celebrities you've known, you know, in the past, or you've looked up to when you were younger or today, do celebrities have an obligation? And I'm thinking, obviously, primarily right now of athletic celebrities. While they're at their peak, what kind of obligations, if any, do you think they have to society and to making the world a better place? Or is that asking too much?
I believe that, and I'm speaking for myself because that's all I can do, but I believe that once you have attained a certain amount of success, again, it's that concept of you've figured out how to tap into your own full potential, and how can you inspire it in other people? Because that's the point. If we can all walk around living lit up lives, imagine how different the world would be in every aspect. So for me, what I was doing on a snowboard was sort of through motion and through the extreme, that extreme setting. I was really just trying to communicate through motion that inspiration of living the life of your dreams. And it's possible, and it's also a lot of fun, and you can make money doing it, and you can live your life this way. And now it's sort of evolved into not doing it through motion, but doing it through storytelling and inspiring people in how to meet people from where they're at and help them see that we're all leaders of our own lives. It's not someone else in the room. We're all the leaders.
Are there any examples of post-career athletes that have really impressed you in terms of what they've done with their lives to inspire and help other people?
The first name that comes to mind is Andre Agassi. I don't know if you've read his book, Open, but
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite books. His story is so inspirational because he really helps us see that he's a human being.
In terms of his faults.
Right.
Right.
And every single one of us, that's who we are. We're human beings. None of us come here superhuman. But every single one of us has the potential to tap into those qualities. And he was able to do it. But from that, he is creating change and giving back and sharing that concept. And that to me is inspirational. And the more people out there doing that, the better this world is going to be.
Right. I mean, and with Andre, and when I met him, I had just heard him speak. And I was also impressed with his speaking ability. And not every athlete is a gifted speaker,
Right.
to put it politely.
Absolutely.
But also what was inspirational about his life is the fact that the downs were more probably inspirational than the ups. Have you had any kind of similar experiences?
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't mean just falling off a board.
Right. Well, 100%. I mean, we all have our trials and our tribulations, and we all have adversity. For me, I actually didn't start my career from adversity. I kind of started it off as, I want to live an extraordinary life, and how do I do that, and what's possible? But through the challenge of responding to that, I of course I had my falls, and I had my injuries, and I had people doubting where I was going and why I was going there. And I always had, it's a constant process of falling down and getting back up and trying it again and learning and growing. And I think that's the point. And that's why all of these stories are so inspirational, is because they're stories that every single one of us can relate to.
So looking ahead, what is Gretchen going to be doing in 10 years?
I love to storytell, and I love this concept of sparking people to live the lives of their dreams. So I think I'll be continuing to do that through speaking and through writing and through teaching. I guess I want to see change in the world, and I think that the potential of this world is enormous. And I think for me, something that fires me up is asking, how do we do that? How do we see that?
All right, one last question. I mean, in that vein, I know that climate change is a huge issue with you. What kind of message would you like to impart to viewers about that issue and the fact that we seem to be doing so little about it? Yet you seem to be a very optimistic person.
Yes, that is something that I am. Climate change is such an overwhelming subject, and I think even at this point, so many of us have this climate fatigue. It's this feeling that it's such a huge, overwhelming problem, and there's no way we could possibly solve it. And I think, it's a bit cliche, but at the end of the day, if every single person believed that if it started with us, if everyone were conscious of their everyday actions and decisions, that would be a different world altogether. And if we came together and supported one another in that would also be a different world. So it's about the little things. It's about your everyday actions and decisions, but it's also using your lever, getting involved, asking questions, being curious.
All right, and that can apply to almost any challenge.
Exactly.
All right, Gretchen, thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Aaron.
A lot of fun. All right, that was Gretchen Bleiler. I'm Aaron Harber. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.